What if DJI made a gimbal that's both mini and pro? When I'm traveling, I don't want to be lugging around a huge camera rig. I want my kit to be as light and compact as possible. Usually I'm just shooting handheld, but that's really limiting, and oftentimes I wish I had a gimbal on me. But the best gimbals are usually also the heaviest and biggest ones. So what I'm looking for is a dedicated, lightweight, professional travel gimbal. And this DJI RS3 Mini is so close to hitting that mark. I mean, it's really light and really small, it's truly a one-handed gimbal. I love the fact that it's totally wireless. With Bluetooth control, I have the record trigger and I can even control this power zoom lens with the front dial. If you're rocking a Sony camera, you can even make use of the monitor and control app and use your phone as a wireless monitor with touch to focus. No wires hanging around anywhere, it's great. But this gimbal is also a bit frustrating because it's not quite there yet. It doesn't fully deliver on the promise of a travel gimbal. It's almost like DJI had to cripple it somehow to protect their larger, more expensive offerings, but it doesn't have to be that way. With their drones, DJI have a Mini Pro line, a drone that's small and light and kind of weak, but with all the smart bells and whistles of larger models. So I think there's a place for a gimbal that's small and portable, yet also professional. One of the main issues I have with this gimbal is its portability, namely the idle configuration and the storage footprint. When shooting travel footage, there's a lot of downtime, where I'm just carrying the camera around. DJI RS3 Mini is just poorly designed for that, because walking around like this, gripping the handle, tires your hand out really fast, so you want to grab it by the arm like a bag, and of course it does this. You need to turn it off or put it to sleep, but then it flops around and can easily hit your camera or pinch the skin in your hands. You can of course lock the axis, but that's super fiddly and it makes you slower to resume shooting. Remember, you are doing these things potentially 100 times during the day. Unlock the axis, turn on the gimbal, turn on the camera, shoot, then everything in reverse order. So my number one feature request for Mini Pro is automated axis locks. It's an amazing feature on DJI's newest best gimbals, and I would love to have it on a Mini. Arguably, it's even more important for a travel gimbal because you are constantly switching from idle to shooting and back. And not turning the gimbal off allows you to react faster when you see something cool you want to capture. The next problem is storage. It just doesn't fold flat, because the roll arm is longer than the pan arm, so you can't fold it without messing up the balance. And even then you have this cross sticking out on the tilt axis. So even though the gimbal is small, it occupies an insane amount of 3D space in the camera bag, and this design needs to be rethought for this gimbal to become truly travel friendly. At the very least, I would love to be able to lock the axis like this, so at least it's flat for the most part. But ideally, I would love for DJI to come up with some clever design where the whole thing breaks down in seconds for storage while still preserving all the balance settings. Maybe an evolution of the foldable design of RSC2. In terms of size and weight, this is already pretty light at 850 grams in landscape configuration. But once you add the camera, even a bare-bones setup like an FX3 with a compact lens, it's already over 2 kilos, which isn't much on paper, but we're talking about a travel setup that you'll be carrying around with you potentially for the whole day. I think it could be even lighter. With travel setups, really every gram counts. With carbon fiber arms, I think they could realistically shave off another couple hundred grams, or at least keep the weight the same while adding some of the pro features we're going to be talking about. In terms of battery, I think it's pretty much where it needs to be. I don't mind that the battery is not detachable, especially if it helps with weight savings. It's rated at 10 hours, and with proper balancing I feel like it has enough juice for the whole day of intermittent shooting, which is all you need really. I really hate the M button. It's just so slow to respond, and you have to press it several times to cycle through all the modes, and because of the lag you have to look at the screen to make sure you actually landed on the correct mode. I mean, switching between modes is such a crucial part of gimbal operating, it needs to be instantly accessible. The mode switch that's on the newer DJI gimbals is just so much better. I don't even view it as a pro feature, it's a must-have for all models because the M button sucks and always sucked. Same deal with sport mode. It takes like half a second for it to engage after you press and hold the button, and when you need to whip pan quickly to follow the action, that split-second delay means you are already too late. Maybe the delay is built in precisely because the M button doubles as the mode selector, in which case implementing the hardware mode switch will fix the sport mode as well. In terms of balancing, again, I feel like this is a step back compared to the flagship gimbals. It's super fiddly to adjust the axis, there's so much resistance in the joints, and you have to grip both parts tightly, and making tiny adjustments without overshooting is a pain. This really needs the pro treatment as well, with Teflon coating on the arms for smoother adjustments and a fine-tuning knob for the tilt axis. Now, in terms of expandability, RS3 Mini's got nothing. I mean, El Zilcho. It even has only one side NATO rail, which is sort of comical. Come on, DJI, you ran out of NATO rails? Generally, I understand that this is supposed to be a lightweight, small, very simple gimbal, and that's why it's not compatible with the whole DJI ecosystem. But again, I don't see why that has to be the case. Compact and professional should not be mutually exclusive. I would expect to find at least one extra control port on a travel gimbal, at least for a focus motor. What if I'm using a lightweight cine lens, of which there are plenty on the market these days? Or better yet, I would love to use DJI Focus Pro with gimbal this small. The LiDAR unit and a single focus motor are only 263 grams, well within the payload capacity of this smaller gimbal, and the control handle would be a great second grip for more stable and comfortable shooting. So while DJI transmission and stuff like that is definitely too big for the Mini, I would love to see at least some expandability on a pro version of this gimbal. Like I said, at least a focus motor. Have you ever thought about this weird coupling in camera tech that in almost any product line the biggest model tends to be the most expensive one because it's perceived as the best one? And sometimes that's the case, but sometimes it's not. But that perception of size as the sign of quality is there, and manufacturers have to build their product strategies with that in mind. At the same time, people are always pushing for things to get smaller and lighter, so reduced size and weight can also be viewed and marketed as a pro feature. In some industries, like any kind of hiking, backpacking or alpine gear, the lighter products tend to be the more expensive ones, because it's hard to make things smaller and lighter without sacrificing functionality or durability. So can portability and lightness be a pro feature? I think yeah, why not? Because I have to say, when I'm heading out somewhere new, choosing what kind of gear to pack is always a conundrum. It's like I either have to take everything or nothing at all. But every time I don't take the camera, I regret it. I mean, I'm not going to shoot on a phone, I still want a dedicated video camera like an FX3, but I want the setup to be as lightweight, small and fast to use as possible. And that's where I could really use a lightweight travel gimbal with all the pro features like automated axis locks, dedicated mode switch, Teflon coating and improved expandability. So what do you guys think about that? DJI RS4 Mini Pro, does that sound like something you'd want to use? Let me know down in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching.